Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 1, September 26, 2022. We are at City Hall Council Chambers. It is 12:06. Mr. Arta, would you do roll call?
Yes. Mr. Mia, Mr. Navarro,
Here.
Mr. Martinez,
Here.
Mr. Castillo,
Here.
Mr. Ceballos,
Here.
and Ms. Allen. And we do have a quorum.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Item 3 is citizens' comments. Citizens are required to fill out a witness card no later than 12:15. Can be found here at the counter at 1110 Houston Street. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. No more than 3 persons will be allowed to speak on any issue. Speakers may not pass their minutes to any other speaker. Comments should be relevant to city business and delivered in a professional manner. No derogatory remarks will be permitted. Is there anyone here to make any public comments, citizens' comments?
At the moment, we don't have any comments.
All right, I don't see anybody here besides our team. All right, I want to make sure everybody has time to eat lunch, so we will have a discussion that covers the items, but just keeping in mind that we are in the midst of our work day. So item 4 under action items, discussion and possible action to approve and authorize TIRZ number 1 join as a subrecipient the Metropolitan Planning Organization who is the lead applicant, and Laredo Main Street as a co-subrecipient in submitting a grant application in the amount of $400,000 to the U.S. Department of Transportation Reconnecting Communities pilot program for infrastructure planning, and commit 20% required match of total project cost in the form of cash and in-kind amounts to be defined by today's action by the board action. The MPO is the lead in preparing the grant application, which is due October 13, 2022. This is a planning grant, and the product would facilitate being eligible for future capital projects under the approved plan. So we've covered this. We've shared the NOFO with the board. What's left, so to give you additional background, the MPO did vote on this item, discussed it, and vote on this item last week. They did approve pursuing this grant. The MPO does not have the ability to provide a match, as Mr. Mia clarified at our last meeting. So to be very clear, because this came up with the MPO, in order for us to pursue future project monies through the Reconnecting Communities pilot program, we need to do this plan, because the comment was at the MPO, another plan for downtown, and so even though we have multiple plans, all of them may be good in whatever respect, this is required in order for us to go after project monies in future rounds with this grant. So you all need to be aware of that.
Could I ask, the 400,000, where did that number come from?
It really came in, Juan Mendillo with the MPO interim director is present. It came up in discussions with him and a group of us that got together and kind of talked through what potential projects would look like. The discussion, I'll let him provide his feedback, but the other discussion is we're going to have to provide a 20% match, right? So some of it can be cash, some of it can be in kind with effort. Not requesting so much, because we can do a lot of planning, but I think we have sufficient planning in the non-technical areas. And now what I mean by that is the comprehensive plan provided guidelines in a breadth of planning. But in technical terms, there still needs to be aspects of work and action plans for particular projects. So that's what we're missing. This is what potentially this will provide. You can add, you have some more comments on your side?
For the record, Juan Mendive, interim MPO director. No, that is correct. So I think that $400,000 figure was part of it, saying what is the planning study cost for what we're trying to do, but also what is realistically right now to be able to provide a match. So we thought if we don't exceed $500,000 of total project costs, then the match would be $100,000. So that would mean the study would cost $400,000, and then we'd have to provide a match of $100,000 either in cash or in kind. So that's kind of how we came out with that number.
So the city was putting in the match, or the church?
Right now there's no match.
So
Oh,
this is just in concept. This is
the
coming
action
to
is
us.
here.
Yeah, this is the action. So in discussions, we think we can leverage about 50,000 in in-kind between Main Street, our team that has done some work, and then our efforts. The rest will be something, what I'm proposing is 50,000 from the TIRZ. Now, you think, well, if it doesn't happen, you don't spend it. If it happens, then you're basically paying for planning monies that you probably would spend, so it seems to me a nominal amount based on the kind of work that we're doing.
Well, I guess where I'm going with this is, could we go more? I mean, are we in a position where we could do the 100,000?
Yes, yeah, we do have some cash available, that has been accumulated over the years, so it's over, I believe it's about 900,000 what we have right now. So 50,000, we could do 50,000 with that money. Now, the 500,000 is gonna be for different projects.
Well, it's
Oh, it's a
actually just
planning, it's a
planning,
planning,
right, so,
planning grant.
so what we would do, because I think DOT wants to have a say over what you're going to put project money in. So we could decide amongst different, this is a connecting, a reconnecting communities type grant, so you could create thoroughfares, making sure there's thoroughfares from St. Peter's to Azteca, the 4 blocks, right, so that aspect of it. So I don't think we need to invest more money in planning, we just need to become eligible for project money,
Sure, in the
right,
future.
is that
So this is just like to open the door so we can.
correct?
Right.
Yeah,
I
so,
mean,
so if we don't do this planning, the reconnecting grants project money is not available to us. Now, is this planning necessary? I think the answer absolutely yes. In the technical specifics part, like what our KCI Technologies is doing in Able City, they're getting into the technical work plan and design of things, I think. And I know we're not gonna get into drawings,
Right.
technical drawings, but more focus on projects, so. Juan, did you wanna describe, the types of projects that we could conceptualize with the plan?
Sure, I had a presentation, I can plug that in just to help guide me. Let me, put that. Try to remember off the top of my head.
Is it the one you showed the MPO?
Yeah.
So it's already on a PDF there, Juan, on the screen?
Okay.
It's on the center of the screen.
Yes, so. I don't know if that's being shown.
Because I do know that, in talking to our city engineering, handicap ramps, we have certain areas, that we're having issues with that, in the downtown area specifically, and they want to work on that, and I just know that the money goes so fast, it's very expensive nowadays, concrete and everything like that, but, maybe we can get an assessment of that. I don't know how fast we're talking about doing this, but, I mean, I'm okay with this, but I think we do need to be eligible to get more, because I'm hearing that there's projects like that need to be done.
Yeah.
So we could use this to enhance that.
This is just a guess. My guess is if we actually get awarded this planning grant, DOT will respect our planning under that umbrella of DOT, making us eligible for more money. But pretty much everything that we're doing right now that's in planning and design is eligible under these grants.
Okay.
From sidewalk improvements, alignments, we think placing underground utilities could also be, going underground, which is a big topic for us, right? So.
So I will mention an important part of the grant is that it addresses an eligible facility, and those include facilities that create barriers to community connectivity due to high speeds, grade separations, or other design factors, including barriers to mobility, access, or economic development. And some examples of those eligible facilities are highways, arterials, rail line, bridges, and gas pipelines. So that's something that we're doing in the writing of the grant, is making sure that we address that and show how historically this has impacted our downtown. Some eligible activities, we have the public engagement activities, including visioning or other place-based strategies. That's something that Main Street said they could really help us with. And the planning study that we do, it can assess the feasibility of removing, retrofitting, or mitigating existing facilities to reconnect communities. So we can do that study can look at current traffic patterns, capacity of existing transportation networks to maintain mobility needs, alternative roadway designs, which could be a potential around those 4 blocks, impact on mobility of freight and people, impact on safety, also looking at environmental, public health, and community impacts. And I'll give you some examples of projects.
I was about to ask you
Yeah.
for some examples.
So yeah, these are examples of projects that can be done in the future with that money, if you get a capital construction grant, the plan would be identifying these type of projects that are needed in downtown. So examples of that are roadway redesigns, complete street conversions. So for example, maybe Convent, rethinking about that, how it would look, making sure it's a complete street that's accessible to pedestrians, bicyclists, people in vehicles. Main Street revitalization is one, doing walkways, pedestrian walkways and overpasses. Infrastructure removal, so there's issues with your infrastructure, high quality public transportation, linear parks and trails, and capping and lids. That's usually when you put a cap over an expressway to be able to connect, to different neighborhoods. Those are some examples of projects that can be constructed. We're proposing in this grant, right, and is to create a study to identify which are the most important projects, which are some critical projects, and identify the priorities of that, and do some assessments and come up with some cost estimates as well.
What stage of it? I know you're part of it is you're writing this
Right.
for everyone. So what stage are you at in the writing?
So right now we just have an outline, and we have a meeting tomorrow with Dr. Uribe from Main Street to sit down there and go over everything. Pretty much what you see here is everything that we're thinking about in the outline that we're thinking about. I think the NOFO, the Notice of Funding, it's very broad. So we're trying to make sure that we're hitting all the things that they're asking for. But like I had mentioned last week, we're trying to get to this point at the policy committee, get that approval to really drill down on the writing. But tomorrow we do have a meeting in the afternoon with Dr. Uribe to go over some of those things. It's a 10-page limit, right? So we have some ideas already what's going to be included, but the capital construction is 20 pages. The planning grant is only 10 pages. So we're a little bit limited on what we can include.
Are there any questions or comments before we entertain action?
Just had a question on the, what kind of, the in-kind amount, local match, what would be a eligible expense for that?
Right. So for
Because
the
you're talking about, cash and in-kind.
correct. So for the cash, it would be contributing towards the study, right? On the in-kind, it would be providing staff time to help with like the visioning activities, the public outreach type of work, or paying for the public outreach activities. That would be part of the cash that can be provided. I think what we're proposing was to put the cash towards funding the study.
On our side, I think we would ask Able City and KCI to parcel out anything that we think comes back to fit our proposed projects, so we would want to quantify that as well.
So you'll do that first and then come back to decide on the
Well, once
money
we get
side.
awarded, they'll ask us to submit. I mean, I'm familiar with the grant process, so, they'll ask you to submit or quantify, like Mr. Castillo was like, what are the areas, staff time, consulting time, outreach?
This is a pretty straightforward application. There's just one key information table that asks for those specific things about the lead agency, the partners, very specific, what facilities you're thinking of, and then that 10-page narrative, pretty much. That's pretty straightforward.
So public engagement is an eligible,
Okay.
in-kind criteria. So, is everyone comfortable with the 50,000 pledging? And I'll need your help to make sure I verbalize that correctly, but those are from uncommitted funds,
Uncommitted funds, church.
TIRZ uncommitted funds. So I'll make the motion that we approve the allocation of $50,000 to provide a match in the form of cash of uncommitted TIRZ funds. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Navarro. Any additional discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None, motion passes. The next item is also a grant-related, not grant, seems like a grant, but it's a cost reimbursement program. And it, as background, and then I'll read it. I just learned of it because I went to the MPO meeting and I heard about this while it was being presented. A discussion and possible action to approve and authorize TIRZ number 1 to consider and begin conceptualizing projects to potentially pursue the Transportation Alternative Set-Aside Program funding offered by the MPO in coordination with the City of Laredo. And that should read, it's not being offered by the City of Laredo, it's the MPO offering, but we would coordinate with the City of Laredo in determining whether we would pursue it or not. Among other projects, this program may fund various mobility, safety, and barrier reduction projects and is a competitive and cost reimbursement type program. Project proposals are due November 18th, 2022, and project selections expected at the beginning of next year. This program requires a 20% cash match, same thing. So in visiting with some of the city folks, including the city engineer, he explained that they have pursued this grant in the past. And if I remember, and it's in your package, and it's in what was emailed to you. There's roughly a total of $2 million. And each project could be awarded up to $1 million. So there's gonna be at least 2 projects. Most of what we're doing is eligible, right? So what I wanted to, there's 2 of us from the private sector, 2 of us from the city here, was to get a sense of whether we were interested, because if not, we may not meet these timelines with meetings that are required, resolutions is required under this program to get to the MPO. If the city decides that they are pursuing it for something else, then we can talk to them, the different departments, and discuss whether it's best for us to go. I think somebody should apply from city projects, right? That's the last thing you want is to leave money on the table.
Well, just simply the last meeting, we talked about Zaragoza and the headaches that we have in that area, and that's gonna be an extra cost that we didn't consider, especially when the engineer says it's gonna be tough to figure out how to fix that.
We still have Salinas, right, which was going to be a phase 2, and that alignment to walk down from Transit Center to the bridge. So we have plenty of things that we need to do.
That's adding cost to our project
Right.
that we didn't really think about.
Yeah.
This might be able to help us with some of those, offset some of those.
Now, this money we can use for capital improvements or just planning?
No, this is capital.
This is capital, actual, okay.
Mr. Garcia, are you familiar
Yes,
with?
capital.
You're familiar with this program?
Yes.
Okay, so, and now I wrote that to consider and begin conceptualizing. I didn't want to lock up this board and say, we need to go. It's like, let's have a conversation with whoever it is at the city that's gonna make the judgment on what to pursue, and then bring it back, but at least make you all aware that this is out there, and decide jointly with the city whether we pursue it or not. Does that seem reasonable?
When you say the city, you mean city engineer or?
Well, I imagine it'll be city management that will decide if the TIRZ should pursue it, or engineering department, or traffic, or, I don't wanna put anybody on the spot, but, did you have something to offer?
Yeah, again, for the record, interim MPO director, there are some things that I'll add. We still haven't gone completely public with it. We're gonna put it on our website this week. The call for project was authorized by the policy committee last Wednesday, and it's effective this week, so we're getting everything ready. But what I could share is that in the past, there's been, for example, the city engineering department has applied for these funds, city environmental services, so they've done things like trails, safe routes to schools, projects. We've had in the past the school district apply. Unfortunately, they weren't eligible because it needs to be open to the public, and they're gonna close off the sidewalk in the evenings. So, but school districts are eligible as well. So it is for capital construction,
Right.
but it's for alternative transportation. It can include things like sidewalks, bicycle trails, lanes, things like that.
How about relocating utilities?
Yes, I believe that's also eligible.
Street
Very
marking?
nice.
Yeah, that's correct.
So, and that's, I wanted us to at least, the green light from this board, so that if we need our engineer or our architectural firm to start conceptualizing stuff to make the November timeline, we need to start, right? Because they're in the midst of another project, and then we're gonna pull them, Juan's smiling, but yeah, gonna be pulled like, okay, let's work on another aspect, and maybe just underground relocation, I don't know, but I think, I wanna make sure that if we're gonna move, we move with board action.
We're hoping the applicants find the application pretty straightforward as well. It's not that complicated, it doesn't ask for too many things, just information about, merit criteria, just project information. But that's something, I can share that too with you, because we've already shared it publicly, the project criteria, right? So we're looking at enhancing network connectivity, implementing an existing plan, improving safety, project readiness is an important aspect of that.
Our
Promoting health.
projects are ready to go, for sure.
Yeah, so that's one where the weight is 15 points for that, for the project readiness.
Okay. What I can commit to doing is to reaching out to management and the department heads that would be involved, and maybe having a meeting. So if it's not for the TIRZ to go, I don't know, then somebody should go from, So at this time, it's really just giving the TIRZ a green light to conceptualize and have these meetings. And if any of you want to be at these meetings, you're welcome to. Any questions?
No, I think we should take action and,
Yes.
and at
Right,
least,
so if you want to entertain, I'll entertain a motion to move forward and begin conceptualizing and have city-related
I
meetings.
second that motion.
Okay, I'll make it in the form of a motion. Mr. Martinez seconds. Any additional discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None, motion passes. I want to, before we adjourn, I want to make you aware that I did go to the Commissioners Court this morning for purposes of the monument on Zaragoza and Santa Ursula, and they did approve moving forward, subject to a memorandum of understanding with the board and the city, I guess, I did ask them, it would be great if they maintained it. I didn't get, a firm reaction either way, but I think it's a step forward that they authorized that monument be placed in their property. So we'll work on an agreement, and I guess it will go back between us and the county. I think that's good news. I did get an interview over it, and I gave him a cost of $40,000, which seems a little high. I know we bucketed more money than that, but I think a 12 by 12 monument may not be as much, but anyway, for what's out there, you'll see that somewhere, in the news, so just making you all aware. And while it's warm, I'll go back, we'll hopefully have an agreement that I can take back, so it stays in the front burner before the end of the year. All right, that's pretty much it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
so move.
Been moved to adjourn at 12:28. Any, a second?
I second.
Mr. Martinez seconds. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None, motion passes. We're adjourned at 12:28. Thanks, everybody.
Perfect.